Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to our very first episode of the Roast House podcast. Glad to have you all here tonight. It's going to be an epic episode, first one.
To get into the topics, the main topics we're going to focus on in this first episode of the podcast is mainly just creators, switching the platforms. There's been plenty of content creators that's been shifting platforms as of late. And so we're going to get into that a little bit today and just, a little bit of community talking as far as I guess the best ways to, go about community building and why it's so beneficial and whatever else that comes about as far as the topics tonight. But those are the main focal points we're going to hit in this podcast tonight. So,
right. And then you have Facebook gaming now, which is kind of great. There's Facebook gaming, there's so many of these other platforms. It's kind of almost hard to nail them all down. There's just so many of them.
And you would have never thought that Facebook gaming would be like a real, I guess, competitor in terms of, being a competitor with, streaming platforms and with YouTube and Twitch, and Mixer also. But it's really come to the point to where people are starting to venture off to that. So it's really crazy to see all these platforms, get into the mix of just content creation, period.
Right. Not to mention how D-Live came into play, especially with the move that PewDiePie made, a while ago.
Yeah, and I think he still has that partnership with them.
Yeah, and I even gave it a shot. It was pretty interesting, how all these platforms are trying to come up. And remember VidMe? That was another thing.
Oh, yeah, VidMe.
And it's like, the crazy thing about it is it all depends on how much viewership and how much the creators of these different platforms can get out of it. Can they get some kind of flow going? Because if they can't get that, then it kind of crumbles fairly quickly. So it's really interesting to see how all of these platforms come up. Some rise, some fall.
VidMe was an interesting take on everything because we have all these live streaming websites coming out now, and VidMe was very video orientated.
Yeah,
and I think that site was actually very interesting to me when that thing dropped. I mean, all of us knew that it wasn't really going to top YouTube, so we didn't put focus on it or anything, but just seeing how VidMe handled it, and it was a cool little time just to see another website pop up and get people interested.
Especially when it came to, how, when YouTube was getting bigger and bigger, oversaturation, a lot of channels feeling like they're kind of being pushed aside. And it was VidMe was that platform that was trying to hype up those content creators that want to get more shine because maybe they feel like that they're less of a slave to an algorithm.
Right.
Yep.
And that's one thing I will say that is cool about these new websites, man, is that Twitch does a good job, but Twitch is also getting big. So, once a website gets big enough, there will be complications.
Of course.
And, YouTube's one of those things that where the complications are very, very big now. And I mean, it definitely does make you feel like, hey, I should start going somewhere else. I do remember when VidMe came out, I was uploading my videos there too, just to have that
really?
Extra push. But I mean, as far as Twitch goes, man, I think Twitch is doing a really good job. And I think Twitch is doing so good that it's inspiring these other people to try their hand at it. Like Dino mentioned, Facebook gaming. I think Facebook gaming started out very iffy, but I've looked at it recently and I think it's really interesting now. I think they're definitely building on it.
Right. And then what actually happened recently, since we're talking about Facebook gaming, there's a Smash player by the name of Zero. I mean, some of you guys may have heard of him, some of you may not. He actually took a deal with Facebook gaming.
Really?
And that caused this huge controversy.
Right.
Because so many people are like, oh, why is he leaving Twitch? He's leaving the community, etc., etc. But I don't fully believe it's too bad of a thing. But if you guys have your opinion on that, I'm kind of curious.
CD, I know that I've seen you talk about the Zero thing. If you want to give your opinion on that?
I mean, to be quite honest, I honestly don't, blame with the move, just for the simple fact that, I guess coming from a consistent financial standpoint, in a sense, as far as like, because with Twitch, when it comes to like financial stuff and getting all these subs and bits and stuff, it kind of fluctuates. And so I know, I'm pretty sure having a contract, it can kind of give them a little bit of stability over there. But I don't know, as far as just like, I gotta understand, people being iffy as far as like, switching platforms and stuff. And I honestly don't know about, regarding the niggas like that.
I kind of do have something to say about that. I guess like the multiple platforms, okay? Because I guess you could say for like the last 2 years almost, I've been using Restream, right? And been connecting here or there to different platforms, but I kept adding on platforms. At one point, I was up to 4 at one time, and that's where I ended it. I was streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, and DLive. All right, and to be honest with you, I like the DLive and Mixer crowd is more into the modern age of gaming, and where as in Twitch is kind of like it has a variety of everybody likes something here, and YouTube is becoming more about videos. So it's kind of like I'm kind of adapting to the fact that Twitch is more or less, if you're wanting to just live stream and to do what you want to do, I mean, I'm not really worried about like the financial process on it. I just want to have fun,
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? But it's like to me, DLive and Mixer are kind of like DLive obviously has been copying, Mixer this whole time because of like the cryptocurrency and stuff like that, basically, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like almost the same thing. It's
I mean, Twitch has been doing it too, as of recent.
It's all been like a mix between those three.
Because they're all looking at each other, picking like, oh, okay, well, this platform has this, and then this one has this.
Yeah, Twitch was the innovator.
Right.
Twitch was the innovator, though,
Mm-hmm. And I also heard some rumors that like YouTube is trying to put like gifting memberships. Obviously, that's coming from Twitch. So like, yeah, there's that too.
I don't know. I mean, as far as what I think about the Zero and Facebook type thing, I mean, a lot of viewers, like CD mentioned, the financial bit of it, a lot of viewers do not take that into consideration because they're just like, hey, I just care about watching my favorite streamers at the most convenient spot. And at this point right now, the most convenient spot to watch their streamers is on Twitch, because that's where the majority of their streamers are. They can go and click their following and they can see the list of their streamers that are live. And I think that's what's so interesting about people switching to different websites right now, because that's kind of splitting up where people need to go, and it's bringing light to different websites, which is really good in terms of like websites need to have somebody that is coming for their title. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, Twitch is the king, and Twitch will remain the king for a while. I don't think any of these websites are even close to breaking through what Twitch has built right now. I
mean, even with Ninja, like,
right?
If you take Ninja, and not even just him, like Shroud and all these others.
Yeah,
I checked the website. Like, dude, it's still really, really small. It's gonna take a while.
It's gonna take a while.
Like, do I think that they're on their way? Yes, but like at the moment, no. Twitch is gonna remain superior.
I just feel like the strength of Twitch is fairly vastly different. I'm not trying to be biased here, but it's like this platform is literally built for streamers in general. It's more community based, and it's like it gives not only streamers like more tools to work with regardless of whether they're partnered or not, and then on top of that they're rebalancing that like every so often. And what's even crazier is how much that Twitch provides to viewers for sticking with the platform and following their favorite streamers on Twitch. It's like a win-win for both parties regardless of what people do say about it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. I will say this because I have dabbled in a little bit of Mixer. I've never tried Facebook Live, but I will tell you this, and this is a very big thing for people when they try Mixer, from what I've heard, is Twitch is big enough now, like YouTube, to where when you start, it's very hard to get going. It's very hard to get your viewer base and to get, you know, people watching you and get a consistent following because of how saturated streams are.
Yeah.
And when you go to somewhere like Mixer and you're playing a game, you know, for example, if you're playing Mario on Mixer, there's not many people playing Mario on Mixer. So anybody who searches that game on Mixer, your stream is going to pop up more than it would on a website like Twitch because of how many people are playing that game. And that's why a lot of people are like, hey, I'm going to try this website because they have more, I would say they have more of a chance to get going on a website like Mixer. Whereas if you get going on Twitch, I feel like you're better off on Twitch because you have more of a ways you can get further on Twitch than you can on Mixer, but you get started on Mixer faster than you can on Twitch is what I'm trying to say.
Makes sense.
So I think that's a big thing is a lot of people are trying these websites too because, you know, they want to see if they can get, you know, their thing out there quicker than they can in other places such as YouTube and Twitch, because I know how that is. I know how it's hard. You got to worry about search results and all that stuff, and it's like on websites that are like that, up and coming, you just don't have to worry about that. You just play your game and you can talk to people and have fun.
Exactly.
And you know, one of the things I've noticed too is, like, not to give flack to any of these smaller platforms at all, is like those people who couldn't make it on Twitch or they couldn't do it on YouTube have found something like on Mixer, and like they're killing it on Mixer.
Yep.
You know, so like that could be the ice that breaks it for them to actually, you know, get out of the ice. You know, it's an important thing that, you know, you kind of just you kind of just get it if you try. That's if you try, though. It doesn't mean that you'll succeed. It's just like anything, though. But as long as you try and you put effort and stuff like that, like, people will notice.
Because I feel like D Live was kind of like that, where, because when I tried it out, it was very interesting on how my start was when I actually was dabbing in it just to see what it was like, because I was like really curious. Just the fact that, okay, the first stream that I jumped in, and then I was bombarded by so many interesting different people that was actually a big part of D Live, and they was encouraging the people that actually, you know, joined their platform, which was very interesting. You know, they had a Discord and everything. I would say the challenge with that is how often are they going to try to do that? Because it's almost as if the creators, like the people that are behind D Live, they have to literally help build that strong foundation in regards to community, because it could be like, oh, we're going to hype all these people up and get them interested in the platform, but the problem is they're going to have to make sure that they keep that up, because you know how easy it can be for content creators or inspiring content creators to be interested in trying it, and then when they do it and they feel like that they're not getting any kind of success, they're going to let it go early. Just like how you mentioned a long time ago, Dino, that like, there's a lot of people out there that went back when YouTube was still thriving, that there was a lot of people out there that was really interested in giving a shot, and they didn't even get to 100 subscribers yet, and they already quit. And it's like, cool thing about D Live is, you know, they got people going, but the issue is what happens when they kind of like wean people off of that. Like, it's like almost as if the content creator is kind of on their own, because Fez said something interesting about D Live, and I noticed it when I was using it, where D Live is like concentrates a lot more on the games that are currently trending. Like, if you was, let's say you try to do retro stuff, you're not going to get anybody on that, because I remember doing some retro stuff and I got very few people to jump in there. Now for me, you know, that doesn't bother me too much because I'm not worried about how many viewers that I get, but in the long run, somebody else, it just depends on mindset. So if they look at that, they may easily get discouraged if they went, let's say they did like 10 streams and like the first 3 streams did really well, but all the rest of them stunk. Like maybe they felt like, oh God, I only got like 0 viewers or some junk like that, and then they might just be able to abandon ship. So it's like, what are the developers of these platforms doing to help keep it thriving? It's like crazy how all these X factors can just throw you in the loop, you know?
I think it probably does have to do with like how the creator in general like goes about their own channel, because I'm not name dropping anybody, but I do have a friend that does still stream on all 4 platforms and is still going to stream on YouTube till he said, quote unquote, it implodes. So, you know, he's just going to do what he's got to do. You know, he's not really stressing the major picture, you know? And I mean, I guess he's carefree about it. So, I mean, it's all situational, you know? If you enjoy what you're doing, then nothing's going to stop you from doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? No matter what analytics say. And like, I don't know. You should, y'all got it.
It definitely makes sense though what you're trying to say, because it definitely at the end of the day, it definitely comes down to like the creator's mindset and, you know, how they want to go about it, as far as like just trying to make the best of the situation, you know, just having fun with it. Or you have some people that, you know, look into the analytics a lot, and, you know, that can really affect their way of going about content creation. It can really, you know, just sway it in a negative way. So it's definitely a good point that you brought up, as far as like it, you know, coming down to the creator's mindset towards the you know, grand scheme of things.
I mean, I know he mentioned something about multiple platforms. I mean, that's a good thing to talk about. What do you guys think about simultaneously streaming?
It's good for, I guess, like the experience to try to meet and maybe reach out and see what type of an audience is out there or whatever. But because of, you know, I guess our soon to be topics, I'm on Twitch, so, you know what I mean? So in general, yeah, I mean, I think it's good to reach out and maybe draw an audience to a central spot would be probably the best thing. But like, I never really connected with anybody on DLive or Mixer, so I pretty much just bring everybody from YouTube and was like, hey, let's go to Twitch, and if you want to hang out, come hang out. If you don't, then I'll see you around, you know?
Right.
I'll say this about streaming, because there was a brief time where I think I did a couple of multi-stream, you know, or restream streams, and I remember me and Dino had a talk about this over probably about 2 years ago. It's been just about that long, and
It's been a while.
yeah, and we had a very in-depth conversation about this, and it's the fact that yes, restream expands your reach,
Yes.
but when the most important thing, at least to me, is community, it hurts more than helps. Some people, when they stream, granted, do not focus on the community, and to each their own. In my personal opinion, when streaming, community is the most important aspect, and I know that's how it is with a lot of us in this call currently. So
yeah, I love the people.
with restream, you have to take into an account that your community is being split, because you have a chat here, you have a chat over here over at A, you got a chat at B, you got a chat at C, and they're all talking to the same streamer, but none of them can connect because you see what I'm saying? Like, none of them can connect because they're in different chats. And I think that's a very deadly thing. I think that can hurt you more than help you, because if they're together in one chat, whether like if you're streaming just on Twitch and your chat can connect and meet each other and welcome each other and be positive with everybody and ask questions and, you know, everything, that makes the community so much stronger. And I think that alone makes it worth dealing with the reach of one specific website. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. To add on to what you're saying, yeah, the split is real. In the beginning, it may not feel like that, especially depending on what you're playing. Let's say, for example, you main Twitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you pick a game that's not necessarily the most banging in terms of like the people in your community actually being interested in watching it. Let's say, for example, you was to do a game and you get, I guess, like 5 people watching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you restream on, let's say, YouTube, but there are people on YouTube that is, you know, maybe the numbers are bigger just because they know that you're streaming on there. You know, it always comes down to preference. But the thing is, the undeniable truth is, after a couple streams, that's going to change drastically, because it's like, if you're maining a platform and you're building that momentum, especially if you get hit by a raid on your main platform, obviously the focus is going to be more on, the group of people that's your main. It's like you're not trying to single out the people that's watching on the other platforms, but chances are it's going to happen, or you're not going to be able to engage with the other platforms as much, and it's going to create that split. Mm-hmm. You may have some people that's going to be like, I just want to watch them, but then you're going to have the other people that want to interact with you, and they're not getting that level of engagement that they used to get, and it's going to turn them off. I mean, like, that's what Flash is talking about when they say that split, that rough divide. Because I did it a couple of times, and it's like weird. It's like Restream has this thing where like comments from the other platforms could pour in to your main chat, which would help with that, but I still feel like there's that disconnect there, because one person would say something from a different platform and then you respond to that, but the other people in your main chat is like, what is he talking about? That sort of thing is pretty weird,
Yeah, because like the streamer itself, they kind of focus on them chatting with the viewer. But I think one of the biggest parts is the viewers chatting with the viewers.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing too. If anything, that's the main thing. Because they bring conversation in a stream.
Right, exactly.
So like if your conversation is starting from another platform, the streamer says something, and then someone tries to say something. If anything, it's like the viewer is just talking to the streamer, and like they have no idea who's the other person saying it on the other side. Like they can see it on the screen, like it's not with them, like it's not like a physical place. So
Right.
I've had, no lie, I've literally had that same thing happen where I would be like, oh, who you talking to? Oh yeah, it's so-and-so on Mixer. I'm like, oh man. Like, it is a confusing thing. It's very confusing, and it's very, it's sort of annoying to have to deal with, on a daily basis,
For sure.
Yeah.
Like there's ups and downs to it, to where you get to interact with people, and let's say that you're not really that social, and you really don't talk to people. Maybe if you're on 4 different platforms, and maybe you at least get 1, maybe 2 people, on one of those platforms to come out, or at all right, you're at least testing your own, your own voice skills, your own speech, skills and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, me personally, I never used Restream, so I can't really go from an experience standpoint on this, but just thinking about it and going with talks with with you guys about it for a good while now, just even a thought about trying to go through like multiple platforms at one time can be like really it really be tiring, because you really like multitasking and going through like 2 to like how many ever chats that you're going through at one time. It could be kind of mind-boggling, and trying to like focus on whatever you're focusing on with game or whatnot. But yeah, the grand scheme of things, as far as like, it's just splitting up communities. And if you're trying to build a legit community, a solid one at that, you don't want to kind of have that split using Restream. But again, it depends on the person and what they're trying to reach at the end of the day. So it's really to each their own in regards to that.
I think
it's very annoying. I'm sorry.
I think unless because I mean I'm very curious. I don't mean to switch the topic, but unless somebody has something to add about the platforms, I'm curious to hear everybody's 100% opinion on, and I'm sure I know what you're gonna say, but I want to hear details. Is how important do you really think community is, and what do you think the chances are of somebody coming onto a platform trying to make it that has no care about the community? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying, and I like for me, like in general, like you guys pretty much know the story. Like I've been around y'all for the last 2 years type deal, and like all I care about is like everybody that's been around me instead of like the inner pocket type deal, and like seeing somebody just go at it for just that money swaggling.
Yeah.
It's like, and then when they get it, it's just like they are just so undeserving of it, and they expect more, and it makes no sense. No sense.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's community makes everything better, and I think sometimes more than not, some people just don't know how to make that connection with people and form that community, so they don't ever make that a priority, because they don't know how to do it, so they fear the unknown, and they just like they're like, let's just make content and look at numbers,
and then the people come with that, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean that's what they think, and I mean numbers, you might get views, but views are just a one-time thing unless you have them coming back as a community,
Exactly. And this comes with the platform thing, because I mentioned Zero, and I actually listened to someone else talk about this topic too, but he was like, even if Zero moves from Twitch to Facebook, at the end of the day, his core community, the people that are there for them, it's like, I'd rather have 1,000 viewers than 5,000. If the 1,000 viewers is like your core community, right? And that's what I was hearing from the other thing, like Zero. I don't know how much he averages, but like if he goes to Facebook, I'm sure he's not going to get as much, but his community is going to be there. So like, there's not a big difference. I mean, people will be like, oh, well, he averaged more, but it's like, who cares? Like if you have your community that's really strong and stuff, you're still going to get the same results. That's what matters at the end. It's better than having more views.
There's longevity there. Exactly.
Right.
So
yeah, he's making plays on top of that, and I think people are just like their mindset. Their mindset. I got it. But it's true. Like their mindset is literally like, oh, okay. Well, the more views, the better the stream, right? Well, not really. Like I know people who have 50 viewers, and the 50 viewers all in that stream are part of their community. But then there's people that have like, I don't know, like 500 viewers, for example. Maybe like 100 of them are part of the community. You kind of have like 400 empty people in your stream. That doesn't really care about you, but they more so just care about the game or something.
Right.
Can I speak on that real quick?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. My hand, kid here. Even though you can't see my hand. Dino probably already knows what I'm about to say, because I just got triggered when Dino mentioned that about the game. Once upon a time, way back in the land of suffering from an identity crisis, I went, and this was before Nintendo, mind you.
Oh boy.
I was going from one thing to the other to the other. I went from anime gaming, lost my man there. I gave it a shot with the fighting game community. That was interesting, but the reality really sunk in when I dabbed into my favorite fighting game, which was Tekken. Right?
Tekken. Oh boy.
Yes. And so I did a giveaway celebrating it, right? And it really sunk in at that point because everything was great. I was quote unquote getting the numbers, the subscribers were coming in and everything, and it was nice, but those were just numbers, mind you, because here's the end result of that. Okay, when the giveaway was done, I interacted with the person that got the game, right? After that, of course, they're going to be super nice and they're going to love you for it because it's like a free game. And then on top of that, I even explained an unfortunate situation that happened with a company I would not name, where I was kind of duped, in regards to what I was promised. So I had to pay out of pocket.
Oh yeah.
So in order to do the giveaway, which I have done because I didn't want to shaft the person that actually won. So they got it. They was appreciative, and I haven't heard from them again since. And to make matters worse, I did a live stream. Now this was probably one of the second, maybe third time I actually tried to do a live stream, and I was actually live streaming the game. And this was after the results that I got from the giveaway. Only 2 people showed up. It was mainly friends that I knew that were content. And all those other people that actually watched my videos, comments, and then all that stuff, they didn't even hop in. They only cared for the game, and what made it even tougher, when you're part of the fighting game community, the harsh reality is you have to have a certain skill set in order to really get some kind of following out of it. But even if you do have that skill set, those people are still there for the game, because there was a gentleman by the name, I think he was King J or something like that.
Yeah.
And this guy was getting outrageous views, outrageous interaction, and everything. But the problem is they was only there for the game. They was only there for the tutorials. It really didn't benefit him as much. So imagine if he played something that wasn't Tekken.
Oh boy.
Those videos are gonna go, they're not going to go anywhere. So that's just the harsh reality of that.
Right.
I will even use myself. I will throw myself under the bus here with this. I will use myself as a prime example. So my YouTube, for those of you who don't know, a lot of my community has been on Discord, it has been on Twitch, and has been on Twitter. And my YouTube primarily was dedicated to a lot of anime gaming and stuff like that back in the day, and I focused on that. Well, the love behind the majority of the anime community focus on anime stuff. That's what they're into, which is fine, but you got to understand, I also wasn't going into it with the community building mindset back then. I just thought, hey, I'm gonna post this video because it's fun, and that's what I got. So now whatever I post that's not anime, boom, it's not even seen. Not 5 people, and that's how bad it is. So I can drop something that's like an anime video, I can get easily 1,000 views at least. Drop a Star Wars Fallen Jedi video, 5 to 10, and that's because the community building was not there on my part. And it was just one of those things, you know. That's so to kind of give a little bit of, you know, to thick out the lines of what they're saying for those of you tuning in, is if you don't have a community and you upload, let's say, Call of Duty, aka shooters are one of the worst things to upload for having variety. Trust me, I know. So, you know, uploading a shooter and then boom, you're playing Minecraft. That's not going to go too well unless you have a very strong community, which is so hard. It's not unheard of, but it's so hard to make in something like that. Nobody's going to watch that. They're going to be like, dude, where's Call of Duty? Like, the people that do watch it, you'll get the comments like, where's that at? So that's one of those things. That's why I wanted to bring up, how important do you think community is? I think it's very important for those that are in it for long term, because even if you don't see the community thing is important at first, if you're doing something long term, it's gonna drive you insane when you experiment later, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to do the same thing forever. And I think, you know, I think that's what's important about variety, and what's beautiful about what you guys do on your streams is that, you know, if you want to play something, you have the ability to do so, and your community still, they're there for you. And like, you guys, I've always looked up to pretty much everybody in this call for that reason too, because they've, in my opinion, they've done it right. And like, I think it's very important to look at it that way for anybody tuning in that's, you know, interested in starting a channel or interested to stream, whether that be on D Live, Facebook gaming, Twitch, YouTube. Even now, it's community definitely needs to be in the forefront of your mind when starting out, and that's where a lot of people make the mistake.
And it's definitely hard to, like, it's definitely gonna be hard to, you know, build that up and, you know, try to get that you know, going. But the best things in life don't come easy, long story short with that. So it's definitely something to, you know, definitely keep in mind in the front when you know, make this yeah, go ahead.
Basically, I've heard a few you say this. Well, I mean, basically, you know how I started out, kind of. You know, I wasn't even doing this at all. I was basically just sitting in chats and pretty much just paying my respects to the people that are playing the, you know, the video games. You know what I'm saying? But then I got, you know, I wanted to start streaming for myself, but didn't have the money to do it. So I used a cell phone and, you know, was making plays on my phone. So it's like, I wasn't letting something like that, you know, stop me. But before that, I was making friends with everybody. I was making connections with people because I wasn't streaming or didn't have the thought of it, you know? I just want to go hang out and chill with somebody, you know?
Yeah, because you did those mobile streams. And, like,
Yes.
I was in there when you did those. And,
I
like,
remember those days, dude. I remember when Dino told me about it.
I thought those were super creative.
People that still came.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
I was very surprised people came for that. But that's the thing, though. Like, I didn't, you know, it just depended on what I was playing. And, like, in general, like, I guess what my phone could handle looking at.
Right.
I mean, you know, like, playing like a Pokemon game was probably easier because it didn't have to focus, you know, as hard as any other game like that, you know? But it's just still the fact. You have to start with a stable community. You have to, like, you have to know people, and you have to remember where you met them and how you met them and how long you've met them, because I'm going on almost 3 years knowing a few people that still come to my streams and I still talk to on a daily, you know, and I've only been around that long, almost as long.
Yeah.
It's just, if you're about your community, then, you know, you'll make a community because people will start noticing you.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, I'll say this too, and everybody in here can attest, you know, because I know that everybody in here has had a job or gone to school, or, you know, one of the two have worked something in your life. And whatever platform you're on, it's very important for everybody to realize that as easy as it looks, you put in the same amount of work for a channel or for a stream than you do at a job. And this, I work 2 jobs, and I can tell you right now that I have never worked harder in my life than I have on content creation.
That's why it's booming right
Anywhere
now.
that I've gone. And you know, people make fun of people that do it full time. Well, guess what? They worked their butts off just as hard as somebody with, you know, a full-time job.
It's
to
crazy
get
they say
there.
that though. It's crazy. It's crazy they say that though, because like now in these days and age, there's so many companies that have teams dedicated for this now.
I know.
Like content creator, like a content creator, like a social media person.
Right.
Or like it's so big now.
And people, but people are still so quick to put it down, and that's what's crazy that people don't understand. But you know, it's one of those things that people are blind to what they don't touch. You know what I'm saying? Like
It's the stigma. It's the stigma behind, you know, video games and, you know, everything that goes along with that, and just thinking that we're just, you know, lazy bums, you know, not doing anything with our lives. But in reality, this is becoming like another venture for people as far as like making it a career. That's what people are not understanding and not trying to tap into.
They're not looking at the bigger picture. You know what I mean?
Like if you're going into this to feel like this is a hobby and you want to make friends, then you have a genuine mindset. If you go into it with any other intention, then you're not going to have anything compared to what you feel like you're going to have. You know?
Oh, absolutely. I think your starting intentions should definitely be that. But for anybody who has done it for a long time, the thought of it one day being a career crosses everybody's mind. That's without a doubt. Whether it ever happens, whether that was your intention from the get-go, it crosses everybody's mind. And the reason it crosses more people's mind now is because of people like Ninja, because of people like PewDiePie, you know, big people now that push, you know, people want to be like those people and make that their job. You know, like when I was little, you know, and I'm the youngest one in this call, but even when I was, you know, growing up, everybody wanted to be a firefighter, they wanted to be a police officer, they wanted to be, you know, a doctor. Kids now want to be streamers.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy to me. I think that's so cool. And, you know, so it's just one of those things to where I also sympathize with people that don't understand that streaming is a real thing, because I can remember never have made a video, never have touched an editing software, never have spoken into a microphone and thought, hey, this is easy, I can do it too, which, you know, I eventually did. But it's one of those things you have to figure so much out, man. Nobody can just jump on and drop a really good thing right off the bat without doing any sort of practice.
That's why when you see people make like those reaction videos on YouTube where they're like, oh, I'm gonna react to my old videos,
Yeah,
you see the improvement,
right?
Because everyone starts shit. Like that's
Exactly.
just the reality.
Yeah.
So
Like, it requires planning, know-how, what to use, what not to use, what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. Not only that, you also have to include, okay, once you figure out where you want to go, what is the mindset of the community that you're trying to become a part of? It's like all of these X factors that you have to factor in. Like let's say, for example, I remember way back when I was part of the anime community, and it's like certain things that people gravitate to more, like the kind of thumbnails you make, even though that's something that's kind of like across the board realistically, because you want to create thumbnails that are aesthetically pleasing. But I feel like in the anime community, they really took the creation of thumbnails very seriously, especially the anime gaming community, I would say. Because the creation of thumbnails literally seemed to evolve as I was going through those ventures, you know, doing anime gaming, and it was like I would talk to people, they would tell me certain things that I should do or focus more on. What type of software should I use? From like, how should I talk? How should I act? I'm all right. Let me give you a good example of this. My interactions with Anime Analyst, because he was like a big influence in the progression of my channel when it came to trying to improve in various avenues. Like, I did a collab with him, and I learned a lot from that collab as well as the result. And there was so many X factors. You know, everybody say, oh, you know, in order to get big or do really good, you got to collab with a bunch of people and you'll get a bunch of viewers and subscribers and stuff like that. But the thing that nobody told me, but I've kind of quickly figured that out after the collab, is the thing is, like, does your personality kind of like gel well or is similar to that content creator that you're collabing with? Anime Analyst, we're both black, but honestly, real talk, I felt like as I was collabing with him, I mean, I did my thing, and you know, Anime Analyst was very cool about it, and he actually appreciated me being on. He literally made me feel like I was a white guy. I'm not kidding. Like, he did. That dude had some crazy charisma.
He's got spunk.
He does.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take nothing but a millisecond for him to actually, you know, get in a zone or get crazy hype. And me, it's like I'm kind of the opposite of that. I mean, I have my hype moments, you know, I yell and all that, but I'm not at his level. And you know, like, when I looked at the results, yes, I got a lot of subscribers from that. Maybe a couple viewers actually watched a video or two. But the thing is, just because you get a bunch of subscribers doesn't mean that actually turns into success. Because in most cases, those viewers, only most of them did it because he's set to do it.
Right.
Not because they really wanted to get engaged with your content and watch it. And I learned that.
Subs, yeah.
And I even tweeted that out on Twitter way back when, and Anime Analyst liked it. And I already know why he liked that comment, because he noticed that I understand that. And it's like, it's up to you know, the content creators to figure all this stuff out. It's not black and white, you know. It's not that easy to figure out. There's a lot of thinking that goes into content creation. It's not about just sitting there playing a freaking game. I mean, why you think all these like pro fighting game players do so well? Because they practice, they train, they literally study the game inside and out to the point where they would turn a simple video game into an actual science.
And you know, and not even just that, but like being good at a game, and then you have the behind the scenes work. First off, you need to network. Like, you got to show people you're actually good. So how the hell are you going to network?
Right.
Well, you're going to go to events, or you're going to try to get picked up by an esports team, or like do whatever you can, stream, you know, do all these things to show that you're a good player. Like, I've seen something like a long time ago where like there's good players, but they just don't know how to network. I've seen some fighting game players talk about that too, like in their own streams. They're like, oh, there's a bunch of great players, they just don't network, so like no one knows their name and stuff, and then that doesn't help their longevity. So all they're good at is the game, but they aren't really like showing themselves and as they should be. you know. But like the successful ones, there's so much you put through that. And like Venge said something about video games. It's like if people are laughing at that, then you are laughing at like 70% of the careers that exist right now.
Yes.
Okay, I know exactly. What do you mean by that? Well, again, as I said earlier in this podcast, and we talked about that, so many companies have dedicated teams for content. It's not just the game, or it's not just what the video is about, but there's so much behind the scenes work that you have to do to get those eyeballs on that content. And that goes for anything, any career path. You can go to a company right now and they're going to have a dedicated team for it. How are they going to get visible? What do they need to do? Do they know ad spending? Do they know organic reach? Do they know, you can list off so much stuff, but they have dedicated teams for that. So if you're trying to say that this is a joke, then you're saying like 60-70% of the things in our world is a joke.
Right. I mean, if somebody can make a career out of brushing dogs, then I don't think it's far-fetched for someone to make a career bringing entertainment to others. It's like people who make movies on a smaller scale. You know what I'm saying? It's like people who produce movies, a movie producer. Think about that, but a one-man team for most cases, and just streaming and having fun playing games. It's like, that's basically what it is. We're creating essentially a TV show for people to watch. And I mean, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. And people, even if they're doing it for them and they have fun doing it and they're doing it just for their own personal enjoyment, regardless, they're putting a stream of content out there for people to watch. And that's what it is. If you think content creation is stupid, then you think TV is stupid.
And it's funny with the stream thing, people are forgetting there's a professional term for that. It's called broadcasting.
Yep.
Broadcaster. You know how many jobs are out there for that title?
A lot.
So many.
A lot.
Yeah. So like people, again, like as we talked about before, like they downvote this shit, but it's like so important in this day and age because everyone's doing it. Like there's a job literally for everything. Like you guys hear the radio, there's people working at the radio. Is their shit a joke then? Like everything ties around those careers too. So if you say this career is a joke, then those careers are a joke.
Right.
Like you can't just say that.
That's not us calling those careers a joke either. For those that are listening,
people who are accusing like that, like, oh, what you do is a joke. Okay, then what they do is a joke. If you think what I'm doing is a joke, they are too.
Right. It's a double standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like nobody will ever go up to somebody and say that. It's almost like, they won't go up to anybody doing anything else and say that, but they're so quick to come up to content creators and say that. And that's another thing too, and this is me backtracking a little bit to what I was saying earlier and how hard it is to get into it these days. Because the standards for a content creator have gone so far up since I've started, and it's one of those things to where, back in the day when YouTube was newer and, Twitch was Justin.tv and, stuff like that. It's like you started Windows Movie Maker, Paint.net, I forgot what the streaming, program was back in the day. It wasn't OBS, that's for sure. And it's like, everything was so low quality and you could still start and people would give you a chance. You could use an Xbox mic and people would still listen. And now you got to have Photoshop. Like so many people have paved the way. It's cool that people know what they have to have now, but it's also one of those things where you have to have so much to even have a chance.
That's very true.
And if you don't have Vegas or Premiere or Photoshop for good quality thumbnails, or a good computer that has a 1080p 60 frames per second. So that's over exaggerating, but some people really care about that high crisp quality. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you don't have all of those things, you're not going to be able to do it. And it's also one of those things where when you get a job, it's like, I work on a dock for a living right now. What do I have to do? I have to invest in boots. I have to invest in gloves. I have to invest in, things that I use on a job in a daily basis. What do you have to do when you stream? You have to invest in a capture card. You have to invest in a microphone. You have to invest in a audio interface if you want to go that route of audio. You have to invest in so much that it's a real thing. It's not at this point, even if you do this as a hobby, it's almost as if you can't treat it as a hobby to even get started. It's so expensive to get into. And you have to respect people. Like, when you see somebody nowadays and you can genuinely tell that they are in it for fun, and you can see that they have good quality stuff, I respect those people more than anything. Because when you see somebody that's really in it for the right reasons, and community building and stuff like that, and they have invested just for that is true. Like that's amazing. And that's
passion. It's like love for something.
Yeah, and I respect that more than anything on the internet, and more than a lot of things in life. And that's also one of those things that when people come and say that that's not something you should be investing your time into. You should be putting more time into school, more time into looking for a job, more time into working your job. It's like they don't respect what people are doing here. And that's an important thing that I wanted to bring up. It wasn't necessarily like on the topic we were talking about, but it wasn't, it wasn't too far away either. And it just popped up into my mind. And it's one of those things that kind of, grinds my gears when it comes to this whole, creators and platforms and community,
But you actually brought up a good point, because I get tired of that gripe too, as far as like saying that all this is useless. But to be quite honest, just me, starting off of YouTube and then branching off into video editing and then Photoshop and then going and streaming and stuff, it brings skills, and those skills can be used into like many other areas in many different careers, if it's not doing YouTube or Twitch and stuff like that for full time. So you can't really knock it, because along the experiences is just invaluable in what you get and what you gain from it all, and they can be applied to so many different areas.
I just say they're missing out. That's
Fun fact, I got my first job because of YouTube. I got my first job because I got my first job as a DJ, and I had experience speaking on a microphone and talking clearly on a microphone. Just having that microphone presence that you learn from continuous repetitive, recordings and practicing and, reading scripts if you did those types of videos, and just, I've done it all. So that's a skill that I have put in, gotten, a job that isn't YouTube, but it still helped me in life. It's like YouTube teaches you so many lessons in life too. It's not just one of those things where, I'm putting all my time into this, even if I don't make it a career, people think I'm not getting anything out of it. It's like I'm learning things. CD does a lot of stuff with graphics. I'm sure that he got a lot of it from doing his YouTube and stream graphics.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
right.
And then you got that for your internship too, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. They look at that stuff. They told me in my interview, like, they looked at that stuff and what I did on my YouTube and stuff. So it's just definitely nothing to, bring flag over, because people are really looking to that stuff, and companies are starting to like dabble into the scenes also. It's what people don't understand.
Yep. Right. And we live in a world now, and it's so great, and people still don't realize this, but we can put this stuff on resumes, people. This stuff goes on resumes, and especially for an example, this is something that I've looked into and I'm thinking about going to school for, and is being a community manager for a company, or social media outreach or something. You can put YouTube, Twitch, stuff like that. It's all social media, and that helps you. If YouTube isn't your career, it's like
It helps to get
it helps you
Right.
get somewhere in life. Like it's it's so real, dude, and people don't get it, but it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I know. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Like what?
Like, how important YouTube is, even if it's not, how much it can help you with skills in life too, because I think that's interesting.
Right. Well, I mean, my journey has been huge. I've been doing this since like 2011, 2012 for like the fun of it, just showing a game and stuff. And then like years after that, like I realized it was like so much more. Like so many people are online, so many people are using social media. That I knew this before bigger companies and other people are like, oh, okay, something's happening here. I mean, I'm sure there's other people that knew just like I did, but like they didn't think that would be something that they would apply at like a real job or something like that. And I say real job isn't, I know YouTube is a real job, folks, okay? But I'm just saying that at that time they wouldn't have viewed it like that. They would see it like just something that people are just looking at. But like as time goes on, you see more and more. So like one of the things I've experienced is, hey, like I was able to get like, again, I worked with Viz. I had a job opportunity because of that, because of my Twitch, because of my YouTube, because of all that stuff all together. Managing a Discord, I was able to manage their Discord, becoming a Nintendo brand ambassador. Like I can list so many things, but I'm not trying to be here showing off or anything. But I'm just saying, like you get so many opportunities. It's crazy, especially if you put in the work, and especially if you know what you're doing and stuff. Because like all these companies realize like how important like this day and age like social media is, because everyone's fucking on it.
Right.
Almost everyone. The only people who aren't on it is like very old people. I mean, hell, even very old people are getting on it.
Yeah.
Dude, you got some grandmas on that. Like
It's like everyone is on it, and
Well-
that's the biggest importance that comes from it. And like, what's up?
No, I was gonna say, like, don't think that like you're rambling. All you're doing is telling the truth. To be honest with you, like,
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, like it's just one of those things where it just kind of came. It didn't come right away, but I've been doing it for years,
right.
And then like
Yeah.
on top of that, you network, as we talked about before, because Venge was talking about fighting game players and how they got to get good in the game, but you got to network.
Yeah,
Same thing. Like everything is about networking.
well, not just that, but the time you invest in it, okay, is unimaginable. Like people really don't understand, like the regular people that just sit there and just watch and just come in there and like troll, act like a troll or whatever. They really don't understand or care the value of the person that's broadcasting, right? I'm basically taking my time away from my 4 kids type deal, just to stream while this guy comes in here and calls me a dick face or some shit, and I'm just like, all right, that's cool. Or shit, I'll damn name drop this fact right here. Damn Taco Death, he came into every single one of my chats and kept calling me white guy. And you wanna know something? Fuck that clown.
It's like, well, it's like,
Man, I'm just saying, like, it makes no sense how it's like we're sitting here investing our time to do something we love, and that's like the last thing that a streamer really wants is somebody to come in there and just like to mess up the chill vibe that's going on, because we ain't sitting here messing with you, so why you coming in here and messing with us? You know what I mean? Like,
What you touched on, Fez, is the primary reason why community is so important, because when you have a community, it's like you can literally like get rid of that noise, because like it's like, what's the word I'm trying to come up with? It's like when it comes to community, that's something that a content creator has to build. That's not something that just happens. It's like
There's got to be a reason.
you got to have an expectation. You have to come in knowing what you want and how you're going to enforce, how you're going to get what you want. And it's like, just by doing that, it makes it so much easier to handle situations like that, to the point where You build that community, everyone else is gonna ignore that crap. And you know, and if you don't have that community and you're just doing whatever and you're not setting any kind of expectation, then your chat can run wild and it can drive you insane as a content creator. I'm sure there's been quite a few instances where because of a troll, it's like the content creator is now out of control and the content creator basically shuts the whole stream down because it can't handle it. Like, that's why community is so important. That's just one of the many facets.
And I do need to make a slight comment on that. No lie, I personally, and this is before you even came into the chat tonight. Remember earlier, guys, when I was telling you about that guy that I personally messaged about, like, he was like being bombarded with like a troll situation, and I just told him to ignore it, type deal. And he told me that he's like, it might work for you, but it doesn't work for me. And I'm just like, how can you let, you know, something like that bother you to the point where you're just like, well, I'm just gonna end my stream, you know.
People who say that it works for everyone. It just depends on if you want to do it, you know. There's not really an excuse. So
you gotta choose to do it. Like, if you gonna do it, who in the hell is? Yeah, I know, I said that word.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's like family friendly, man.
You know what I'm saying? Bro house, bro.
Man, fuck this shit, dude.
Road house, man.
Family friendly badge is away. All right.
Come on, man. In this podcast.
You don't have it here.
Put that shit back in the drawer, Mert.
So I can drop an F-bomb? So you tell me I can drop an F-bomb?
Go ahead, man.
Hey. Hey, let it off, Vince. Show them what the fuck you're talking about, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna entertain the masses, okay? All right, I'm going to put it down in my fucking family for 1 minute.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
I left my family friendly badge, but I'm gonna put it down.
Put it on that motherfucker.
Don't kill me, though. Don't kill me. Remember, this stream is not PG-13. Just don't.
Rated R.
All right.
But seriously, community is so great, man, because it's like it's almost like a stranger, aka being the troll, walking into a family's home mid-dinner, right, and coming in and just like roasting the family's natural, you know, habits that they do at the dinner table that they're so used to, that they love, but the troll, aka the stranger's like, yo, what the fuck is this? And you know what I mean? And the family just kind of pushes out the bad vibes because that's what the family is.
You know, that reminded me of like when I do that lo-fi stuff on stream, and then you got that few people.
Dude, I mean, that blew my mind, dude.
This is recent. Some people are like, "Oh man, put the game audio on." What do you mean?
It's freaking crazy.
You know, and then after that, everyone that was in my stream was like, "Nah, we actually like the music. Thanks." Yeah, and they don't say anything after that. Nothing.
They can't. They can't.
Yeah.
Well,
isn't it like, oh fuck, something wrong with me? You know, because they don't know. Then they just leave quietly. Yeah. So.
And it's like, that reminds me, man, because I had a situation similar to that on one of my not recent streams, because I haven't streamed recently, but one of my, you know, more recent ones, right? And I was streaming and it was late at night because, you know, most people that follow me know I work late, so I can only stream late. And this one guy came in and he was like, why are you streaming so late at night? Why don't you stream earlier? And I was like, well, I can't due to my work schedule. And he's like, well, why would you stream then? You know, obviously this isn't a good time. And I was like, well, obviously I enjoy it. And this dude came in and he's like, listen, he's one of the guys that's been following me for, you know, a couple of years now. And he's happened to be popping in. He's like, listen, you know, Flash streams when he can because he loves to stream. And if you're not able to watch it at this time, then, you know, don't watch it. don't question. You know, it's like people do what they can and what they want. It's their, you know, at the end of the day, it's the streamer's show. The people's there for the streamer. And if they're not there for the streamer, they obviously don't enjoy the show. So the trolls, I don't even know. At this point, they're not even trolls. They're just straight up fucking haters, dude. It's like, it's ridiculous. But I mean, that's the whole point of having a community that brings it all back into one freaking, the circle of life. It's like, it's like community is everything, dude. It's just that there's no survival without community. And that's just bottom line.
And you get respect for it. You know, like real talk. I remember, like, I don't know if it was this year or last year, but it happened on a Twitch stream. And, you know, there was a lot of discussion going on, and it was discussion during a Mario Maker stream. I think it was back when Mario Maker, before the 2, was still active. You know, people were still playing it. And we had a lot of discussion about, you know, how good a player has to be to be successful on Twitch, that kind of thing. And it was a lot of discussion here and there about skill, like the type of people that's watching you, all of that. Keep a long story short, the person that we kind of like went back and forth with, because it wasn't an argument, but it was more like a difference in the deals, right? Because you got a viewer that has an opposing opinion, and we talk back and forth, share our opinion, and then by the time it was over, that individual had still stepped up and said, you know what, despite all that, you know, like I really respect the community that you have here, because like your mods is doing such a great job. It was like at that time the mods was literally helping the stream be successful by being positive, by not being aggressive, all of that stuff. That's why community is so strong. You know, like people respect that. So I remember there was a young man, and I won't name, of course, that said a long time ago that like family friendly content creators they don't get that much respect because they're not taken seriously. But honestly, that's complete bull, because it's the complete opposite. Especially if that family friendly content creator actually developed a community that was actually respectable, and the people that were watching respects the wishes of that content creator. You know, like I learned a lot from that. And me, you know, I'm not the type of person, because I am family friendly, but I have a lot of respect for content creators that are not. And I don't mind promoting people that are not family friendly, because I know who they are.
Right.
People in the community, and it doesn't matter if somebody keeps it real or not. What matters is the type of community that they build and the type of relationships that they actually value. If it's bullshit that the person values, then forget about it. But if that person is truly genuine, why would it matter?
Right. And then that's that one thing you say. What is it? It's he's not family friendly, but he's a friendly dude. I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that too. For sure.
Oh yeah.
You guys got anything else?
I mean, as far as, you know, the community and stuff like that, I've pretty much put my mind on everything.
Wait, one thing. Let's do one thing. Platform. So we talked about this earlier, but we didn't mention it. I want to get your take on it. You guys think it's fine that somebody takes money for a deal? For an exclusive deal to one platform? So like Zero, he took the Facebook gaming thing. Obviously money is involved, but he probably was thinking long term for other stuff too.
Yeah,
but
I think I've already, I guess between us, but everybody pretty much don't know. Like, I mean, I kind of like, just take for instance Ninja, kind of like he's thinking about his actual future on, oh yeah, can I do something stable so I can have a wife and family and still live my life, you know what I mean?
Right.
I understand that aspect, but if you're only doing this just to get hungry for it, because he was thrown into it, okay? He was literally blown up into it. Everyone knows this. He knows it too. He literally took advantage of a very prestigious situation. You feel me? You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's very talented at what he does, and that's what people paid to see. It's not his fault. He is that good. You know? It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be jealous. You can't be, I mean, you can be envious of it. Be like, oh man, I wish I was like that. But you can't ever make that your motive to be like, oh, I'm going to be the next partnered person to maintain my lifestyle so I don't ever have to work or do nothing in my life. But no, there's more work in your own lives than there is in front of that computer in general. And it's crazy what kind of stuff. It's like how real things get. You know,
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's one of those things. People like Ninja, not just Ninja, but I'm using him as an example. He's paid his dues. He's gone through. He had, he was a competitive player before he was ever a streamer. He streamed, content long before he ever blew up with Fortnite. And it's, he did it enjoying it in, doing what he loves. And it became his job. At that point, when it's your job, you got to make moves when that's your job. It's like when you're working, you make moves for a raise. You make you make moves for that next position. It's like that. It's like once it becomes your job, you got to understand that people do look at content creation differently. Yeah. They still enjoy what they do. They still focus on enjoying what they do, or else they could just go get a different job. But at the end of the day, it is their job. And I think they have every right to pursue that raise, to pursue that promotion, if you will, aka taking a deal here, taking a deal there. And really, to be honest with you, with all of the stuff that Ninja had, and I'm sure that Zero was the same way, his real community followed him to that platform. All the stragglers and a lot of the toxicity stayed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure over time they'll build that back up, but you also got to think, that's like a cleanse. The community moved with him. He's in a good deal financially, which is his job, and he's still playing the game. I can tell you one thing: when you have that strong of a community and your enjoyment is chat and game, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. It doesn't. It's like Dino, for example. Dino could go stream on YouTube right now. Dino he likes Twitch. I mean, who doesn't? But chat would still be there, and he would still be enjoying the game. It would still be a good stream.
Right.
He would be on a platform that is inferior to Twitch in terms of streaming, but it's the same thing. If if you're following what I'm saying, it's like, I think streamers have every right, once they've crossed that line of making it their career and their job, to do what they see necessary.
Yep. Because here's the thing that I've been stressing the most. Like, the thing that I feel like some of those viewers that you mentioned, Flash, fails to realize is these guys, these streamers or content creators, video makers, whoever, they fail to realize that they're sacrificing their time for them. And I mean, it's not too much to ask to respect that person's wishes, because it's almost like spitting in their face when you watch them all the time, and then they say, I'm going to make a move to another platform, and then they start insulting you and say, well, bye man, you're not going to see me. That's a load of BS. That just proves that person is not there for them, and
Right.
Another thing about that is that's an opportunity that he can use later to even give back to the people that follow him, the people that care more for the streamer than they do the actual platform. And even though I didn't make a deal or anything like that when I moved over to Twitch, kind of a similar flow, but not so much because it didn't involve a deal. Now, to answer that question, yeah, they can take that deal. I feel like they earned the right to do so. Because what's the point of being a content creator if you're fearing you fear that what you're going to do is going to create some kind of backlash and everyone's going to resent you for it. If they resent you for it, then they're not true members of the community because they would respect what you do and they would even be happy for you because it's a new page, a new chapter. Ever since I made that move to Twitch, I'm not saying a lot of people did, but there was a lot of things that I saw on Twitter that I did not like. I didn't say anything, but it definitely put me in a, kind of iffy state with some people because they'll turn around and say, oh my God, like all these people moving to Twitch, leaving YouTube to move to Twitch. So they're just going to throw away the bonds that we just built. That's an insult because you don't know their reason for doing it. Did you watch the video that person did that explained the reason for doing it? Some make these crazy ideas of, they're doing it for the money. You know what I mean? It's a load of baloney. I'm just going to leave it right there.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, does anybody else have anything to bring up before we go to questions?
I guess I do have something about that Ninja thing.
Okay.
So like this is personal experience too, but I'm just gonna say one thing with Ninja. I see that dude at JC Penney and other shit. Okay, like Kohl's or some of these other clothing places. Brother's got his own merch line over there.
Yeah.
So obviously, like his long term is, I wouldn't say he's more for like the platform. I mean, I think he wants to do like so much more. Like I think he signed with like Adidas or something.
Yeah. Yep. It was Adidas. I looked before
So
the podcast.
he's been doing so much, and it's not even just on the streaming scope, but he's been trying like to broaden his thing worldwide. Like,
Flash, didn't you have something too? As
Yeah,
far as,
yeah.
Not disrespect?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to like turn this into a whole big thing unless you guys want to, but I just read today that Dr. Disrespect, which is a very popular streamer that's also streamed with Ninja, is he signed with the creators of The Walking Dead, if I'm not mistaken, for his own TV show.
Wow.
A television show based off of his Dr. Disrespect alter ego character, which is the first ever time a streamer has gotten on a screen like that. He's always been a household name in terms of streams, but this is like a household name, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a big deal. Dude, I'm telling you, next we're gonna see a freaking documentary on the big movie screen. I'm telling you.
Crazy.
It's gotta be something.
I'm going to call it in the next 5 years. We're going to see posters at our local movie theaters with either Ninja or PewDiePie or somebody on the main poster featuring other streamers talking about becoming a streamer, becoming a pro gamer, becoming these things, and it's gonna do amazing because
I mean,
it's crazy.
Street Fighter 5. I mean, Benj knows of this too. I don't know. I think he watched some of it. I don't know if he watched it all, but like Street Fighter 5, they had their own reality TV show.
Oh yeah, I watched it. Like,
It was crazy. I was like, wow, a reality TV show all
Yeah.
about Street Fighter 5. That was really interesting.
And I don't
Nah,
care what
nah.
anybody says. I'm a fan of Low Tier God, even though he takes L. That man is terrible, but he it's like his persona is so terrible, but he's the most entertaining person to watch out of all of them because the rest of them were just like cookie cutter anime characters.
Yeah.
Maybe with the exception of one person. I thought Guilty was pretty cool, but the rest of them.
I just think that's crazy. But CD, didn't you have something you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, just going back as far as like the changing platforms in a perspective, we did cover as far as like, you know, people changing of different platforms as far as like from the streaming side of things. For all we know, as far as, you know, for the people that are like primarily video makers out there, the only platform that's like really notable is YouTube. And, you know, the plenty problems and issues YouTube brings. I'm just curious in what you guys' thoughts as far as like, how do we go about, or I'm just trying to just curious as to like what would be like the next big you know, video platform to, you know, compete YouTube, or would that even ever happen again? Because we did, you know, VidMe was a thing at one point, but you see how that went. So I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that.
I think the one that's closest right now that has the opportunity to do it is Twitch, which is crazy. They can do it. They have the means to do it. They have video uploads. They just have to they have to incorporate, you know, they have to incorporate the special, yeah, right, like
kind of like comments and stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't have all the features. That's the thing. They just have the standard, you know, videos. And
so they didn't drop the videos?
I don't think so. I don't believe so. I believe they're still like available in the channel option.
There'll be a huge algorithm for how much that would be put into that, you know?
Right.
And they would have to have it literally split up in live streams and split up in videos just so people, you know, but then that would literally take away the viewership from the content creators, which will defer them to different alternative, maybe even stopping, you know, because they're not getting the regular viewership, because someone would rather go watch a Twitch video, you know?
Oh yeah, and if you think about it too, this is my thought. You know, I could be right, I could be wrong, but think about all the stuff that like Twitch literally does not do archives. Now, I guess in terms of videos, it's just like a limitation.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I would prefer that Twitch just stick to their guns in this and not try to deviate too much in terms of adding video integration, because then it just, you know, increases the amount of resources that they're going to have to put into their platform. And who knows, if you get Twitch could probably wind up like YouTube, because there's too much stuff that Twitch would have to process and look over, and then it just be like data overload. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why YouTube kind of like got jacked up, because you got all this extra.
Yeah, plus the noties, bro. You know, how would those go out, and how would those even be interpreted? You know, would people just be tired of hearing the same jingle thinking it's a live stream, or if it's just a video upload?
Here's the thing I think Twitch would do if they did anything like that. I think they wouldn't roll it out for anybody to make videos. I think they would give Twitch partners the opportunity to have either a network or a series that they could put on and air it like a TV show. So it could be pre-recorded, pre-edited, and it comes in seasons, and they would have to apply for a show on their channel.
That would be
like fill out an application or something to get it approved for a actual show on their channel.
Fun fact, YouTube actually had something like that.
Seriously? Really?
So like they like in, I think it was like 2013 or 2014. It's one of those years, maybe 2015. But they had a thing where you could make like seasons of videos.
Oh, I do remember that.
Like a little thumbnail by your it was literally on old school YouTube.
Yeah.
And like you could see the thumbnail series and stuff, and people could click it, and it was kind of like a TV series, because it even generated like a channel for it, like a separate channel too, within the channel that you already made. It was pretty cool, but they removed it. I don't know why. They're like, oh, we're just sticking to normal playlists. you know. But what was really cool at those shows was there was like a thumbnail, there's a picture, there's a generated channel for it, you know, and you had to be like in an MCN as well to like get that fully put on your channel. But it was really cool.
That's interesting. I never knew anything about that.
But I think it would be really cool because it would be a video, and it's technically how YouTube has their premieres. You know how you can premiere a video on YouTube and it's like a stream? It would kind of be like that, but Twitch is spin. And it would be, you know, like a season, and like every, you know, whatever, like every Friday at 8 or something like that. Like it would air, and it would be a stream, and it would be cool. And then it would go on your channel if you went under videos, or you could go under shows under your channel, and then like drop it like that. I think that would be cool because it would stick to Twitch's theme of streams, but also allow content creators to be unique with editing and like have a new variety of content on their channel. I think that'd be cool.
I can see that now that you explained it.
Yeah, I can see the longevity of it. It's just that I know for a fact them putting the effort into doing that is probably, you know, none. You know, them putting any sort of effort into like creating an algorithm or creating that sort of, you know, like you said, a series, you know, that or booklet type deal where you can, like, unreal. If I was going to envision doing something like that, I would have it only set for like subscribers to the channel to be able to watch that material, you know.
I was thinking about that.
Probably keep it private, so it's pretty much it pertains to that particular channel.
Like
you
a
know?
special exclusive.
Right.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of. It's kind of like this. Like, you know how we've been seeing, like, oh yeah, you get like, oh yeah, perks, like, oh yeah, you get first looks at videos that come out a day before that. But why not get actual perks of I'm able to actually see things that other people aren't allowed to see?
Yeah.
And it's not breaking any sort of terms or conditions or contracts or anything like that, you know?
I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's a nice idea. You rock with it.
Nice.
You know, I mean, I would understand they have that, but seriously, I don't think they would use that sort of business label because, you know, maybe YouTube gaming kind of just like how we got thwarted, you know? It kind of, I guess, that sort of going out, kind of like how the WWF back in the day went back into the football, and then that thing stunk up, right? And
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
you know,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, basically just like running pilots, and then you're sitting there investing money into something that is not making you money.
Yeah, it's like a type deal because that is what happened to YouTube game, and they kind of.
I mean. Yeah, and it's kind of like this, like this whole situation with what we're even doing in this podcast, this whole game of the stream game and being on social media is a game of roulette. You never know what's going to hit you and how it's going to hit you and how you're affected by it. So,
yeah, it is.
You know, just every situation is different. You just got to know how to handle yourself.
I control that force through fluid motion.
You know, I mean, I think the YouTube side of the gaming is pretty much shot dead.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's done. You can't stream something like Mario and expect to, you know, get a audience in general. Like, I don't want to be mislabeled, so I left YouTube. I don't want to be mislabeled because I know for a fact I stream stuff that it will appeal to kids. And if my children are seeing, check this out, if my children are seeing this, who are 8 and 9 years old in school, okay, mind you, seeing my content on their iPads and watching me, what do you think is able to happen in general? Like within, you know, if they can watch me. You know, like,
becoming like clear water.
I'm sitting there cursing and stuff like that. Like, come on.
Since you brought that up, Fez, it sounds like it would be a good opportunity for us to actually talk about that whole COPPA situation. What do you guys think we should do? Should we go ahead?
We actually have some questions regarding that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few questions that have mentioned it.
Yeah. We can go with hazardous if we want. I can read the question.
Yeah, go for
That's
it.
fine. Yeah, go ahead.
So hazardous, I'm not sure when you put this, but shout out to you. Thank you for being in the stream. His question is, be along with platforms topic. So this is about the platforms. Everything going around with COPPA going after YouTubers. Do you guys see any possibility of some of the bigger names and networks of YouTubers possibly leaving the platform and working together to create their own platform to distance themselves from all the legal issues?
Ooh, that's different, all right.
That'll be an interesting concept if a big band of like big YouTubers actually came together and tried to make that happen. I'm not sure how
I can.
or the process will be, but it'll be a really interesting. It'll be a nice concept to have something competitive with YouTube, because right now there's like no competitiveness with YouTube, and they can do whatever the hell they want with the issues they have because there's no competition out there. So
Especially since YouTube, now that you bring that up, CD, is the piggyback off what you were saying. Even remember how we all found out recently COPPA isn't necessarily the problem when it comes to when people thinking that COPPA was the true threat.
right.
And YouTube left out that one thing that actually stated, "Oh, COPPA's fine with people that's making content that's meant for both adults and children," but yet YouTube leaves out that option that actually would allow content creators to actually post, that kind of content, that safe content that YouTube is actually preventing, those type of content creators from actually having. It's like no button for that. Okay, so you have child friendly. That's a problem. That button. You have, what was that? The non-child friendly content, which is the content that people hope they have, but there's no guarantee that content is going to be labeled as such. But what happened to the middle ground? YouTube didn't include that. And so if they was to do that, they're gonna have that middle ground.
Yeah.
I think.
I just real quick.
Go ahead.
I just find it it's just really irritating how we get shafted as far as creators, as far as like the issues with what's been going on over there on that platform. We get shafted for stuff that we really don't do, especially with this COPPA situation, because it really came about, and as far as like the new regulations, everything came about because of YouTube and their mistakes, but we end up getting the short end of the stick still. So that's all I have to say right now.
Right. I think, and it's weird because I think probably one of the only people that would step away from YouTube, that has the means to step away from YouTube and maybe fund something, would be someone like PewDiePie.
Yeah.
Or, of course Ninja, but Ninja's also focused on Mixer and stuff like that. I don't think he would make his own platform. I think he's doing well enough on other platforms. I think PewDiePie would be somebody that would attempt it. The only thing is, I don't think PewDiePie is the type of person that could, unless he hired somebody, I don't think he could make a platform that would be taken seriously on the level of YouTube. I don't like. Yeah. He posts a lot of content that's a lot of jokes now, and which is fine content, but none of it's really serious. And I don't think if he made a platform that he could succeed in making it something that would give YouTube a run for its money. I can't really think of any content creators specifically that could do that. I do think it's possible. I just don't see that happening. If anything, I think an existing website will come out with something, or I think somebody will just come out of the woodworks that we just haven't heard of. Like, and if we have heard of them, it hasn't been through content creation. It's been through something else. That's just what I think. I just can't see that happening. Not saying it won't. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, personally, for me, like me watching all this unfold and how this COPPA thing, like I'm gonna answer Hazard's question basically. Yeah, and yes, it has made bigger YouTubers move to different platforms. And one example, and you probably know him, Flash, as much Fortnite as you probably played in the past. You know, Nikki 30.
Yeah.
He moved from YouTube and went straight to Twitch. You know, that's one person. All right. Number two, Maddie NF. All right, a chick streamer. She moved to Twitch because of the whole COPPA situation. She didn't want to deal with any of it. You know, and it's pretty much me as well. I didn't want to deal with it. I'm not a big YouTuber. I don't consider myself big at all, but I know when you get bound to a jail cell and you're the one getting the finger pointed at you for everything that is wrong with the platform, it's time for me to go.
Yep.
You know, speaking of people moving, I just remembered this, and this blows my mind. And I don't know if you guys have heard of it. You might have, but there's a YouTuber and Twitch streamer named Courage JD.
Yep.
And he was a full-time partnered Twitch streamer exclusive and moved back to YouTube full-time. And this is recently.
It was recent.
This is real recent, which is surprising. With the whole COPPA thing going on, YouTube signed him, and he is exclusively a YouTube streamer.
Yeah, that had me blown away when I heard about that.
Which is crazy.
Even Alex Ramy Gaming as well. He left YouTube as well.
This month? Or
I think last month.
It was definitely the last quarter of 2019. It's like really recent.
It's been the past 3 months.
You know, Zero with Facebook was kind of crazy as well. And it's like, what the heck? Like, Facebook's got all these issues too.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna get some kind of like leverage.
What do you mean?
By doing this.
Who?
I mean, like the guys that are moving over.
They are. So like, I remember. So Zero had a video actually where he was explaining like his big ideas, like his big, you know, what this deal could potentially mean. So like he could play with more celebrities on stream. That was just one of the biggest things I picked out of. I was like, I can't believe he said that, but he did say it.
Yeah.
But like they obviously get more opportunities and more connections and stuff. So it's the other thing too, where that's like this huge like importance, because it branches your long-term success too.
So what about the potential legal issues? You think that they're gonna get a bit more levy in terms too? The whole COPPA thing and all that.
Well, that's the other interesting thing, because like maybe that's a reassurance too, because he wouldn't sign that if there was like a huge issue, you know. So maybe YouTube has some system that they just aren't telling us, but maybe they told him, you know. I mean, for example, how did I know about the gifting memberships thing? Well, I know people who stream on YouTube who are pretty, you know, close with employees. I mean, there's a YouTube employee that follows me on Twitter. I know her personally, but I only know her because I guess I'll say his name. Vinny knows her. Okay, so the reason why that info was given was because Vinny knew that info, right? So like this is a thing that's going to be coming onto the platform. So like a lot of people know this information before everyone else by like a long time. So maybe YouTube's trying to make like this big press announcement saying, oh, okay, well, this is what we're actually doing for the COPPA thing, even if they're waiting last second, which is horrible. You shouldn't do that. You should do it right away. But that's probably what they're doing. That's the other thing.
Maybe a plan to weed out people that's undesirable. Especially if people are gonna obviously panic, because I'm sure YouTube knows that there's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna look at that like, oh my god, like we can get sniped. Run for the hills.
Well, I'm really hoping that YouTube's got something planned, because if you think about it, you know, Courage had so much going for him on Twitch. He was doing so well. It's not like, you know, it's not like he had any visible reason for him to go to YouTube. There had to be something, and of course money is a thing, you know, but like at the same time, with how bad YouTube is, I just feel like Dino's right. They probably told him something they're planning, whether what they do goes to plan or not.
They have.
I think they have something that intrigued him, plus money, of course, but like something that's, you know, intrigued him into signing that deal. Because I mean,
Right.
I can
He talk about it, you know.
there's so many people that, like, you know, you see every day somebody going from YouTube to Twitch. You rarely see somebody going from Twitch to YouTube. That's why that's why this is so interesting. And he's so big that this would be somebody that they would tell that information to. You know, it's not just, you know, a smaller channel like, oh, I feel like going back to YouTube. Like, this is a big deal because of how successful he was on a website already and how he was continuing going like up. He wasn't declining or anything. He was going up, and then he just switched out of nowhere.
Right, because there's got to be something there.
Yep. So
I just don't get the logic though, because like seriously, YouTube, seriously think about this. YouTube does not protect the people they promote, and that is sad to be on a platform where you have to have such insecurity about streaming.
Facebook doesn't either.
Yeah. Very good one, Dino.
But I'm just saying, you know, when you think about it, and that's what this is like, it's more of like their brand. So they're probably making the decision because they want to further what they're doing right now. So for example, Flash said something about, oh, he was from Twitch to YouTube. Maybe with Twitch, they didn't give him as much leverage, or like they didn't give him as much opportunity, you know, and maybe YouTube can do that, but Twitch never offered that. And there could be other things, of course, that are involved, money, etc. But that could be another thing too, where he has his own hands in the pocket, that he is able to orchestrate that or give ideas or something. That was the other thing I heard from Zero's thing, you know, because Zero said, oh, he's going to be working with the platform very closely with Facebook gaming, stuff like that. You don't really hear that, you know, when you're on Twitch, for example. Sometimes you might not have that opportunity to do that. Like with Ninja, when he moved to Mixer, I'm pretty sure that was his deal too, where like he would have the ability to give this feedback, and that's like really, really important.
Yep.
Remember the help that Dino? Remember the help that Maximilian dude got? And that dude was
and
even PewDiePie.
That's because that's just because of the people he knew. He knows the right people.
So it was just the right connection.
Yeah, for him that is a little bit different from the others, but it still is in the same ballpark, I guess.
Because you would think they might want to try to keep the people that gives them what they want. So you figured they might try to, you know, like send them, you know, slide a little tidbit of information in the DMs, letting them.
That's the other thing too. It's like numbers isn't everything. So like PewDiePie may not have, like maybe he might, but he might not have as much as Maximilian. But like in terms of connections, man, he's bigger than Maximilian by like 50 times. Right?
Yeah, I meant sliding at the max.
Right. Yeah. But like again, like numbers isn't everything. It's kind of like if we talk. I mean, we'll talk about this in another podcast. Maybe episode 2, we can talk about like partnerships, sponsorships, stuff like that.
yeah.
But that's what happens with that too. Is people always think, oh, you need numbers. It's not just numbers, my friend. There's more to it. It's like, who do you know? Why would you be a great, I guess I can pun it in here, brand ambassador for a company? And so on and so forth. It's not just like the numbers aspect, but we'll talk about that more in a different episode.
I do have a small question I'd like to bring up. That Stang left at the beginning of the stream. Stang, shout out to Stang. He's also a mod in the chat. Thanks for keeping an eye out, and also thanks for tuning in. He says, what about starting on some smaller platform, then taking the community with you over to a bigger platform when you've become the big fish of the small pond? Basically what he's saying there is what we were talking about, how like, you know, Mixer and D Live and stuff like that are smaller. You know, you can get an easy start there, but you can't really go as far as you could on like YouTube and Twitch. But what he's saying is, you know, what about growing over there, getting a community, and then taking it with you over to somewhere like Twitch or YouTube? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think with him, when he says this, become the big fish of a small pond. Obviously, Twitch is definitely not a small pond.
Right.
So we would have to think of something even smaller than that. Hell, I mean, I can put this example. I was a person who has experience in signing a deal with a platform. I mean, I've signed with a esports company named Azubu for a long time. I had like a year thing with them, and I was paid like on a salary to stream there. Like it was like an hourly thing, and then how many hours I did, that was what I got. So I brought a community over there, but here's the issue. This is why Azubu shut down. But they actually combined with another platform. They combined with Hitbox, but like Hitbox and Azubu, they made this thing combined called Smashcast, and it's not doing too hot right now. But the reason why Azubu shut down was because they didn't have enough viewers overall. So you can bring your biggest community from a big, you know, he said the big fish, but like once you put the big fish in, brother, there's like, it's just you.
There's not enough room to move around in the small pond.
Water, right?
Yeah.
So, right.
That's the problem, because then the platform has to do better advertising their thing. It can't just be the streamers. It has to be other stuff too.
You can't have one big birthday.
I mean, imagine this. It's like getting a big fish, a big pet fish, right? And getting a small bowl to let it swim around in. It can't even turn around. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of sits there. That's kind of the thing. You know, it's like you gotta put it in. You know, you gotta put it in a tank. You gotta get a tank for it and give you room to swim and make those progressions and stuff like that. It's, you know, I just think I think in my opinion, it's better to start off in a big pond and take your time going with it and just do your best. And I think personally, once you get that start in that big pond, you're just better off.
Yeah, and then do your research, because I mean, with me personally, I didn't fully do my research on the platform. Like, I knew big names were on it, like they had Faker and stuff. He was like a big League of Legends player. He streamed exclusively on there. You know, a lot of these other things, but like that's not enough. Like, you have to give people interest in the platform. You know, like, why should they stay on this instead of Twitch? Because they're all competing against Twitch. Everyone's still going to Twitch. No one's checking out these other platforms. And that's the biggest issue. So with the move with Courage and then the move with Zero, we're seeing that they're the bigger fish. But what their idea, like what their goal is even though these other platforms might be smaller in terms of streaming, they're not that small. They can still move around and do more things with it.
Right.
Yes. I'm actually still looking at Stang's question up here as well. Basically, you know, how to focus on the community the right way, like when is the things you do to cultivate that instead of getting popularity, and how do you identify which way it's going? You are pretty much doing it right now, being a part of the, you know, just be yourself. You're being yourself. You're being in different communities. You're being in different streams. You're actually indulging in what's going on, and actually, if you care, if you actually like genuinely care, then you are basically part of the community. And,
okay, gotcha.
you know what I mean? If you're only there just to be like, oh yeah, let me get a shout out, and then you want to bounce out, that you already see what your intentions are, you know what I mean? So basically what you're doing right now is exactly, you answered your own question, my man. You are doing it right now.
Right. I think like I think the important thing for streamers is, you know, when they're starting the way they do it the wrong way is they try to be somebody they're not. They think maybe their personality isn't, a personality that would draw attention, and that's the worst. That's the worst mistake a content creator can make. And as easy as it is to look down on yourself in the beginning with how small you are and how different you are, you being different is what paves the way for you to have a community, because your different aspects of who you are is what draws those people in to want to watch your streams versus other people's streams. And they want to watch your streams and watch you for you instead of watching somebody else play the same game you're playing. You know what I'm saying? It's like look at it this way. There's so many people that stream Mario. There's a lot of people that do speed runs. A lot of people like to watch Venge, and a lot of people like to watch Dino because of how different they are. They don't try to be anybody else. Right. They're themselves, and that's what's important, because they're like, hey, I want to watch a really chill speedrun stream, but I also want somebody who's got like a community and I can hang out and have fun. I'm gonna watch Dino. Hey, I like family friendly content, and I also like humorous comedic streams and a chill fan base around it. I'm gonna go watch Venge. It's like people think personality, and it's important to be yourself, and that's the main thing of building a community. It's just be yourself. People will come. Be nice, be humble, enjoy what you're doing. That's how you do it.
And Flash, could I piggyback off what you said real quick? I'm not going to take too much time because
sure, go ahead.
We got other questions we have to get to. To give you a prime example of what Flash is talking about, Stang. Now, this is kind of the opposite, but this is the thing that you don't want to do. So he told you the do's. I'm just going to give you the quick don'ts. Before I did Nintendo, and as I was trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, because back then I made that decision since I noticed I was getting followers more in a particular area, and back then it was on YouTube, subscribers for doing like anime gaming content. I looked at everyone else and was thinking, so in order for me to, I guess, like gain some type of traction, I have to like act in a way that's similar to everyone else in order for people to gain interest. Well, I'm basically walked away from what I did originally, trying to somewhat imitate something that I'm not, and in the end I learned that wasn't the direction that I wanted to go. So huge shout out to that. Those comments, guys, Stang, that's like some awesome stuff that you guys brought up. All you guys actually brought up a lot of interesting discussions throughout the chat too. Discussions between Emmanuel, Hazardous. Like, you guys had a lot to say. No joke, real talk.
We still got some more questions here.
Yeah, we got a couple.
Yeah.
We got one from Ali, appreciate it. Since it kind of goes back to the COPPA thing. He's talking a little bit about bad ending due to COPPA on YouTube FTC, putting a huge policy on community guidelines. How does this affect channels that have huge amount of subs or small channels? I think I could just answer this one because I don't feel like this is a huge thing to discuss.
It's pretty straightforward.
I don't think it matters on subs. It's more on views, if anything. So like if your video has like 500,000 views and like you can have a channel that's like 50 subscribers, and like if you can get 500,000 views if it's something that people are searching, but it's going to affect how they're doing this COPPA thing is apparently it's not going to be the 42K fine. Actually, what they're trying to do is any ad revenue you made from that goes strictly to COPPA. So you don't get the 42K fine. It's more so any ad revenue you made off of that video, that goes to them. Really? That is just rumors I'm hearing. That it's not fully a 42K fine per video, but it's about how much you've made through the ads. So I'm not But yeah, that's that one for sure.
Yikes.
Yeah. Last question. Another one from Stang. Oh wow, Stang. Getting lucky here. Fez already answered it, kinda. Okay. How do you focus on community the right way? Like, what is the things you do to cultivate that instead of get popularity?
Oh yeah,
answer that.
Yeah. That's the one we just.
Technically, you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I get it. Okay. How do you defend? Okay. Yeah, we pretty much answered that. That was
Yeah. I think we're good then as far as questions. I think.
Right. I think.
We've been
Yeah.
here for 2 hours, and what's up?
Woo,
All y'all
this is a
beautiful.
long one.
Time flies by. We having fun, and it's the first
Oh,
episode.
wow.
I know.
God damn.
Well, first off, huge shout out to everyone in the first episode of the podcast live stream. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in, hanging out. It was good seeing you guys chat. I know this is a little bit different of a structure, but we do see your comments. We're just keeping the podcast rolling. Appreciate your questions though. Another huge shout out to CD. You know why? CD did a ton of work. I'm not joking. This dude did a ton of work on the graphics. Check it out.
Yeah.
On
Heck
this
yeah, man.
Twitch channel, on the Twitter, on the YouTube, the SoundCloud. He's trying to put stuff. I don't know if you are fully Spotify.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that for sure. I'm gonna try to see if we can work on
because we still need
as
that
far as,
RSS feed, whatever
yeah.
that.
I'm gonna try to see if we can work on stuff for Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. So hopefully we can get that in the works.
Yeah, I had to give a huge shout out to that because he actually did quite a bit. Also the Twitch team page. Oh yeah, Twitch team page. You guys haven't checked that out? Everyone in the podcast is on the Twitch team page, so you guys can follow each of us because we all stream. All right,
Yes,
we
we
all
do.
stream.
Lord, have mercy.
Definitely check us out. Of course, follow the podcast if you haven't. Please, you can follow us on Twitch, Twitter, SoundCloud, you name it, YouTube. We're gonna be posting on all that. So, heck yeah. Any final words, guys?
I'd like to say something real quick. For those of you guys that are tuning in, if you have any suggestions for anything, we might not, of course, we're just having fun, but we also would like to hear feedback. If you guys have any feedback, we take anything into consideration, and we'll talk among, all of us and see what, we could talk about or what we could add or anything like that. You can tweet me or you can tweet CD or any of us for that matter. At External Flash, at See the Project, anywhere you can find it down below all of our Twitters. But I will be looking at that stuff because I do run the stream. I have it up so I can add, any type of panels or something like that. If you guys have any type of suggestions that we can talk about and possibly add into the stream, just give us feedback. Topics as well. If there's any topics you guys would like for us to talk to, we do have topics in mind for future episodes, but of course, it'd be cool to get feedback from you guys on what topics we could talk about. So another thing is follow all of the Roast House Podcast social media, all of it. We have YouTube, we have SoundCloud, we have Twitter. YouTube, we will be uploading our YouTube, we will be uploading our streams basically, so you can go watch the VODs over there. It'll be on SoundCloud as well if you want to listen into it in the background on your phone. And Twitter, just for updates, you can know when we're going live. If we ever have any type of, hey, we're a couple minutes late, which, we're doing our best not to be, any type of updates for the stream, you can find it on there. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
And a huge shout, just real quick, just a huge shout out to you guys too. I don't, I'm not really a big numbers guy, but it's fucking crazy. We have about 250, 260 followers within like the first week of getting this channel made, and then within our first podcast. So just want to give a huge shout out to y'all. That's
Absolutely
coming with that. So been pretty great.
Community love.
Also, shout outs to everybody just in general in this call, man. This is huge to get all 5 of us together in one call. Not only is it tough to do with all of our schedules and everything, it's just it's awesome. We used to have these calls every night, and unfortunately, due to everybody's streaming schedule, work schedule, it's kind of hard to get that done. And we finally have a schedule that we all can hop in and just have these talks. These talks aren't just just a podcast does. This is, our friendship coming together, and it's so natural because, we used to have these hour, 2 hour, 3 hour talks anyway, and just thought it would be interesting to, let you guys hear them because, this is a unique situation, man. I'm very blessed to have this group of people that I can hop on here and, have these conversations with. It doesn't feel forced. I don't feel like I have to do this. This is just awesome. This has been great.
You took the words right out of my mouth, sir. Couldn't say
Yo,
anything
Feds
better.
Venge. What you guys gotta say? Anything?
I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoy this experience that has even begun. So, I mean, honestly, I literally am blown away by the positivity that's even came back before we even started this, So it's like, man, shout out to everybody in general.
Dude, people are so pumped for this podcast.
Man,
I was super pumped for it. I still was. You already know for a fact earlier I was pumped for it. I was enjoying it. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things, like, personally, that nobody knows about how we stream and how things go. And it does take a lot for 5 people like this, that are on different sides of the country to, get together at the same time. And I want to thank everybody here that's been here. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody hasn't even checked anybody out here, including myself, y'all a bunch of pee-pee boys. All right?
hey yo, baby boy.
Hey, yo, pee-pee boy. All right, Vince, anything?
Yeah, I'm actually blown away by, to be honest, the interaction from everyone in the chat, you guys being here with us, from everybody that's in on this podcast. I've been through so much the past 2 weeks, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to make this podcast, but I sure as hell wanted to try. I'm not going to go into all the gory details on why I wasn't sure I was going to stream, Though some of you know, some of you don't. Twitter, you can find all that out there, and this is a big deal. The enthusiasm that I've seen today, the cohesiveness, all of it made it a wonderful experience, and it's definitely something that's, it was a long time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For real. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out at the Roast House podcast. Just know that we go live every Friday, 11 p.m. Central to 12 a.m. Eastern. We're the hottest podcast with the chillest crew. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.
Oh.